Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Adrian, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of a check-in on the series that I am currently in the middle of. I've split this into three categories. So there's the series that I'm in the middle of that I am continuing to read, and I am sort of currently in the process of reading and I'm continuing with. Then there are the series that I am in the middle of that are kind of on pause for the minute. They're not sort of a hard DNF. They're just sort of, I'm not really feeling right now. I might hop into it again in the future, who knows. And then I've got my series I'm in the middle of that I have no intention of finishing. This is my DNF series. So yeah, there are a fair few series on here that I am in the middle of, that I'm either intending to finish or not intending to finish. But I thought it was good to check in with you guys, make sure you know where I'm at, and see if I can be finishing off some of these series, making sure there's not too many that I'm stuck in the middle of, especially those that I'm nearer the end of completing. Editing Adrian here to make clear that these are series that I am not caught up on. So if it is a series that is not finished being written yet, but I am caught up, we are not including that on this list because I'm waiting for a new release. So anything on this list is stuff that is either completed and I haven't finished, or isn't completed but I am not yet caught up with it. There we go. Back to Adrian. So let's jump straight in with my DNF series I'm in the middle of that I have no intention of finishing. And there's actually only one of these. There's only one series I have read a book from recently that I have no intention of continuing. And this is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This is the first Leigh Bardugo book I've ever read. I was not a massive fan of Six of Crows. I found it pretty, not slow, just I never really engaged with the characters particularly. The romantic subplots I found very sort of forced and just not very realistic for me. I didn't massively fall in love with the characters. And the climax I found actually rather anticlimactic because of the characters that Bardugo used in different roles. It just meant that it didn't really hit with the venom I think it was meant to hit with. I have heard many people say that Crooked Kingdom is far better and that Crooked Kingdom is in fact the best Bardugo book, but I have no intention of continuing this series. It just wasn't for me. I gave Six of Crows 2 stars, I think a 2.5. No intention of continuing, and that's fine. If you love Leigh Bardugo, if you love the Grishfest, great. I'm really glad. I'm glad that it hit the nail on the head for you, but for me, not quite what I was looking for, unfortunately. Next up, we're going to move on to a series that I am currently in the middle of that I'm put on pause for a little while. So the first of these is The Quest of the Five Clans. This is by Raymond Elmo. Yes, I have read the first book of this, so that's The Blood Tartan. I did enjoy The Blood Tartan. I think on reflection I enjoyed it less than I sort of gave the impression of in my video on it. I think actually it was decent. I really liked the writing, but the actual story maybe wasn't massively for me. This is sort of I think it's magical realism more than sort of normal fantasy, with a very urban aesthetic. It was good. I think the writing was high quality and I enjoyed it, but I don't have a massive urge to continue. I did pick up The Moon Tartan, which is book 2 of this series, and maybe got 50 pages in and just didn't feel it massively, decided to move on to something else. I was a bit slumpy at that point though, so it might not have been the book's fault, it may just have been me. So this isn't a hard DNF. I can absolutely see myself coming back to this at some point soon, but right now it's on pause. No intention in the immediate future of picking this series back up again. And then I have one other series here that is on pause. Now this series is kind of split over my currently reading and my on pause, so we'll talk about it in both. But this is the Discworld series. For those of you who've been following the channel, you'll probably know that I started my Discworld journey starting with the Death sub-series. So I read Mort, which I enjoyed, but I didn't think was amazing. I then moved on to Reaper Man, which is book 2 in the Death sub-series, which I enjoyed a fair chunk more. And I was looking to continue with the Death sub-series. It was getting better, and the reads are always enjoyable, even if they're not my favourite books ever. So the Death sub-series currently is on pause, and the only reason it's on pause is because I've decided to pick up a different Discworld sub-series, and that is The City Watch. So this last month I read Guards, and I enjoyed it much, much more than I enjoyed Mort or Reaper Man. I think the characters are incredible. It didn't have such a meandering middle as the Death books had, and actually the characters I thought were interesting we got to spend a lot of time with. Whereas in the Death sub-series, it felt like I really love Death, but we spent a lot of time dealing with other people, which was a little bit to its detriment, I feel. So yeah, City Watch I am in the middle of, and I am very much in the currently reading space for this. I am definitely intending to pick up Men at Arms very soon and continue with the series because I really, really enjoyed Guards. So yeah, that's my first on the currently reading series that I'm in the middle of. Let's stick with the fantasy series here for a series that I am in the middle of and I am definitely currently reading. So next up is Shadows of the Apt. This is by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I read the first book of this, Empire in Black and Gold, this month and really enjoyed it. I'm definitely planning to continue to the end of the first 4 books with the read along on Alan's channel. As well as that, I could see myself picking up all 10, but we'll see how we go. But definitely a continuing on with this series. Adrian Tchaikovsky is one of my new favourite authors. I think he's brilliant, and this definitely was his debut, and it feels like his debut, but I think the writing is going to really improve as we go. And there are characters in this first book that I really love and want to see where they go and where this plot continues to, because there's a lot of loose ends hanging about here. I'm very excited to continue this over the next few months. There are a couple of other fantasy series I am 1 book into. The next one of those is Cradle by Will White. So this was starting with Unsolved. I read this last month. I really enjoyed it. I think it was a good start. I wasn't blown away, but I know that this series grows and it sort of expands and becomes very, very epic. So I'm definitely looking to continue Cradle. I have got near enough all of the books on ebook, I think all except the last one on ebook, so I will be continuing this very soon, hopefully. They're very quick, easy reads, well, at least the first one was, and yeah, absolutely, this is something I am looking to continue reading as we go. Another series I've read 1 book of, and that's The Memoirs of Lady Trent by Marie Brennan. I really enjoyed the first book in this series, A Natural History of Dragons. I thought it was good. I really like the character of Lady Trent. I think she's very interesting. And I quite like the scientific exploration of a magical creature. I think that's really interesting. I like the way it was done, and I think it's very well written. The author has a very strong authorial voice, and I really like that as well. Definitely intending to pick up the next books in the series. I have book 2 already. I think it's called The Tropic of Serpents, so very much intending to pick that up soon. And my last fantasy series I'm in the middle of is the Warlock Holmes series by G.S. Denning. I've talked about this a fair amount on my channel before. It is a parody take on Sherlock Holmes, where we are following John Watson and Warlock Holmes, who is Sherlock Holmes, but the way he solves cases is by consulting the divine, the arcane. He is a warlock who has magic. We're in this very fantastical world with Lestrade, who is a vampire, and Grogson, who is an ogre, essentially. Very interesting, very funny urban fantasy parody comedy. I'm 2 books into that. I've finished Hellhound of the Baskervilles a few months ago, and very much looking to complete that series. I think there's another 3 out currently, so I will be looking to continue that series when I can. So they are all the fantasy series I am currently in the middle of and continuing to read, hopefully. Moving on to that, I now have a couple of sci-fi series that I am in the middle of that I want to continue. The first one of these is the Lady Astronaut series by Mary Robinette Kowal. I read Calculating Stars, and I've read The Fated Sky. I think they were both very good. I think I gave them both 4.5, maybe even 5 stars. Yeah, I think I gave them both 5 stars. Really like them, think they've done very well. They're not hard sci-fi, they're much more alt history, but I really like them. I think they've done very well. I enjoy our main character. I think she's a very interesting character in a very interesting situation. I do have The Relentless Moon, which is book 3, but I just haven't got to it yet. So very much looking forward to that. This is a Hugo Award-winning series, and I think The Calculating Stars was an incredible first book for this. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was my first Mary Robinette Kowal, and it will definitely not be my last. So hopefully I will get to The Relentless Moon at some point soon. And then my final series I'm currently in the middle of, I'm currently reading, and this is the Children of Time series, moving back to Adrian Tchaikovsky. Children of Time, the first book in the series, was the first Tchaikovsky book I read. This was a 5-star read for me. It was proper good, hard sci-fi, and I loved it. Children of Ruin is sort of not a direct sequel, I believe. I believe it's sort of, you know, a story in the same universe, in a different place in the universe. I could be wrong on that, but I am looking forward to getting to Children of Ruin. What I heard from a lot of people was that it is very similar to Children of Time, so I actually wanted to give myself a little bit of a gap. It has now been about 4 or 5 months since I read Children of Time, so I am looking forward to picking up Children of Ruin at some point soon, and that will hopefully be as good a read for me as Children of Time was, and it will be solidifying Tchaikovsky as one of my favourite sci-fi and fantasy authors. So there we go, that's the 10 series I'm in the middle of at the moment. About 7 of them I'm looking at definitely continuing soon. There's 1 hard DNF and a couple that are on pause. But I just wanted to check in with you guys so you knew where I was at, keep me accountable, make sure I'm not opening up too many series without finishing them off. So thank you so much for sticking around. Click the like button if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe if you want to see more of my content, and I'll hopefully see you guys again soon.